Welcome to Learn Yourself. Today we are going to discuss chapter 15, that is our environment. This chapter is under CBSE standard 10 syllabus. So in this chapter basically we are going to discuss our ecosystem, its component, how to protect our ecosystem and what are the ways to preserve ecosystem by knowing all the features of the ecosystem. Food web, food chain, and how we are depending upon other creatures, other animals, as we are at the top of the food pyramid. So let us start discussing our chapter 15. First topic is ecosystem and its component. First of all, what is an ecosystem? It's a nature. All the interacting organism in an area together with the non-living constituent of environment form an ecosystem. So the living component which are interacting with each other. This living component, when they are coming together with the non-living component of the nature, this whole comprises of the ecosystem. This whole setup, this whole balance is we are known as ecosystem. Now ecosystem consists of two types of component. Two components are, first is biotic components and second are abiotic component. Biotic components are comprises of all the living organism. What all creatures are there, what all animals are there, aquatic animals, birds, humans and plants and trees, all are coming under living organisms. When they are coming together with the abiotic component like nature, wind, rainfall, soil, minerals, then both of the component are making our ecosystem. All the living organisms interact with each other and their growth, reproduction and other activities are affected by abiotic component of this ecosystem. We are living organisms and we are getting affected by all the abiotic components. Temperature, wind, rainfall, soil and minerals are affecting our lives, animals' life and plants, trees' lives. So they are affecting us. This combined system makes ecosystem. For example, now there are two types of ecosystem, natural ecosystem and man-made ecosystem. So what all are the example of natural ecosystem? Forest, lake, pond, which are naturally occurring on the earth. They are known as natural ecosystem. Whereas man-made ecosystem, which ecosystem we have made, they are known as garden, crop field. Now when we are distinguish one particular thing as an ecosystem, then what we have to look for in that all the living organisms are interacting with non-living organisms, or all the biotic components are coming in contact with abiotic component and they are getting affected by the abiotic component. Then that system is known as ecosystem. Second topic is group of organisms. So in our ecosystem, where the living entities are there, we have classified them under some classes. So basically, they are producers, consumers and decomposers. So mainly there are three classes. First one are the producers, second one are the consumers and last one are the decomposers. Now let us see what all are the producers. All the green plants and certain bacteria which can produce the food by photosynthesis come under this category and they are called producers. That means the plants and bacteria, those who are capable of making their own food or to produce their own food, they are coming under this category and they are known as producers because they are producing their own food. That's why they are known as producers. Then second is consumers. As name suggests, they will consume whatever other living organisms are generating. They are consuming. That's why they are known as consumers. These organisms which consumes the food produced either directly from the producers or indirectly by feeding on other consumers are consumers. That means either they are taking plants as their food, plants and herbs and shrubs, all vegetation they are taking as a food, or they are taking meat or meat produce or animal flesh, which are secondary consumers, and they are feeding upon this. So they are depending upon producers or they are depending upon another consumers. Then they are known as consumers. So consumer as a whole, like human, we are eating plants also. We are eating fish, meat, chicken, eggs, right? So we are depending upon other consumers and we are depending upon the vegetation also. So the consumers are the one who are depending upon producers and who are depending upon another consumers. Now consumers can be classed variously as herbivorous, carnivorous, omnivorous and parasite. There are 4 types of consumers and all these types are defined by their intake, means what they are eating. Herbivorous, they eat plant and plant produce. Carnivorous, they mostly eat meat or flesh on animal, like tiger. Here, like goat or sheep or buffalo. Omnivorous means eats plants and animals. So they eat both. They eat plants also, they eat animals also. So this class is known as omnivores. Parasite, it lives on or in a host and gets its food from or at the expense of the host. Parasites are causing harm to host, like lice. Lice will be there in the human hair or on the animal skin, like a monkey. So they will stick on their hair and they will suck blood from their head or their skin. They are not giving any advantages to the host, but they are taking ready-made nutrition from the host body. They will not kill a host, because once the host will get killed, their mode of nutrition will being stopped. They will not kill a host. They will allow host to live, and they are using ready-made nutrition from host body. So they are known as parasite. They are known as parasite. In insect, lice is an example, and in trees, herbs and shrubs, amarbale is an example. Amarbale or giloy, or as a scientific name cascata, is an example, which are the parasites. So this is a classification of consumers by which they are eating. Herbivorous, they eat plant and plant produce. Carnivorous, they mostly eat meat and flesh of the animals. Omnivores, they eat plant and animals. Parasite, they live on or in some of the worms. Some of the worms are present in human intestine. They are also known as parasite. They eat or they take the nutrition from human's body and they will survive. So sometimes parasite will be staying on the parasite, that means on their skin, in their hair, and sometimes they are inside their body and they will cause harm to the host. So this is the classification of consumers. Now comes decomposer, and this is very important organisms which are cleaning our earth. The microorganisms comprising bacteria and fungi breaks down the dead remains and waste product of organism. When plants, trees or any animal body will be dead, they will be there in the soil. Then they will get decomposed automatically they will not get decomposed. Certain bacteria will act upon them. They will take this dead remain as their food and they will decompose them. They will decompose them and all the nutrients will go in a raw form into the soil back. From there another tree, another plant can take up all those nutrition and cycle of the nutrition will go on in nature. These microorganisms are the decomposers as they break down the complex organic substance. Because we know when animal will be dead, then there are so many complex organic substance like amino acid and other molecules are remain in their body. So all those complex molecules need to be degraded, need to be break down, and the nutrients should be separated in a raw form so that another creatures, another tree, herb and shrub can take up those nutrition from the soil into simple inorganic substance that go into the soil and are used up once more by the plant. So these dead animals will go back to soil where the bacteria will decompose them and again they are making all these nutrients made available for the new generation, for the new plants. So this is a complete cycle of the ecosystem where nutrients are being used up, they are using it for their important life cycle and then again nutrients are coming back to soil. So decomposers are important part of our ecosystem. So here there are mainly three groups of organisms which we have seen: producers, consumers and decomposers. Now comes food chains and web. So food chain, what is a food chain? A series of organisms, each depending on the next as a source of food. One is depending upon another, another is depending upon some another element or animal, and this is goes on and on and on. So that's why it is known as a chain, because it represents chain-like structure. Various biotic levels form a food chain. Each step or a level of food chain forms a trophic level. Each step forms a trophic level. Trophic level means in this level there are many animals. In this level there are many animals. For example, we are starting from the producers. This pyramid is a food triangle in which we have made a layers, that how one level is depending upon another level. So it's starting from the producer. The base of the food triangle is starting from the producer because they are producing food. The autotrophs or the producer are at the first trophic level. This is the first trophic level. This is the second trophic level. This is the third trophic level and this is the fourth trophic level. Trophic level means this is a group of animal or group of consumers which make entire level. So this is a first level, this is a second level, third level and a fourth level. So food triangle starts from the producer who are producing a food. So the autotrophs or the producer are at the first trophic level. So each level we know as a trophic level. Food triangles, each level named as a trophic level. They fix up the solar energy and make it available for heterotrophs and other consumers. So they are converting solar energy into chemical energy and from there they are producing their own food. And this food is available for another consumers like herbivorous and some omnivorous. So they are making this food available for other consumers. Second trophic level is for the primary consumers. They are herbivores or the primary consumers, they are coming at the second. Then secondary and tertiary consumers. Tertiary means at the third level consumers. Small carnivores or the secondary consumers at third and larger carnivores or the tertiary consumers form the fourth trophic level. Secondary consumers means they are consuming primary consumers as well as they are depending upon the plant produce. Whereas tertiary consumers are directly depending upon the secondary consumers. They are only eating meat and flesh. Whereas secondary consumers on the primary consumers as well as they are depending upon the plant produce. And tertiary consumers, they are carnivores, they are only depending upon the secondary consumers. So it is depending upon our food triangle and the levels which are known as trophic levels. So in trophic levels, there are 4 trophic levels. And in each trophic level, one group of consumer is there. It starts from the producer. So base is made up of the producer who are producing a food. Then primary, then secondary, and then tertiary consumers will be followed. First are the producer, then comes primary, then comes secondary, and then comes tertiary. These 4 trophic levels are making a food pyramid or food triangle in our ecosystem. Now some of the important concepts of food chain we are going to study here. So first important concept is there is a loss of energy at each level of food chain. And why is it so? When one form of energy is changed to another, some energy is lost to environment in forms which cannot be used again. So let us first understand the concept, then we'll go back to text. So here these are the producers. Plant produces the food by themselves from the photosynthesis. So these are the producers and they are using only 1% of sun's solar energy to make their food. So plants are using only 1% of solar energy and they are converting this solar energy to chemical energy and into their food produce. So this portion of the solar energy is very small. From entire solar energy what is reaching till the earth, plants are using only 1% of the solar energy. Now at the second level, from where the secondary consumer starts, they are using this plant produce and it will go on till the food chain ends. So they are using this energy in their body processes and in their metabolic process like growth, activity, reproduction and all. So whatever energy they are getting from the plant produce, they are using for their processes. And when these consumers are being eaten by the upper consumers or tertiary consumers, some of the energy is being transferred to their level. But this energy is only 10% because majority of the energy has been used in this primary consumer's metabolic process. So whatever energy is left is very less. So entire solar energy's portion is only 1% which is being used by the plant, and from there at each level 10% of energy is being transferred from first consumer to second consumer and to tertiary consumer, because most of the energy what they are getting from their food they are using for themselves for their metabolic process. So whatever energy transferred is there at each level, this is first primary consumer, these are secondary consumer, and these are tertiary consumer. So at each level only 10% of energy is being transferred. So if we will see here, the loss of energy is very huge at each and every level. Now let us understand the text. The green plant uses 1% of the energy of sunlight and convert it into chemical energy. This energy goes to heterotrophs and decomposer. So all the levels of consumer it will go, heterotrophs and decomposers. When green plants are eaten by primary consumers, what will happen? Most of the energy is lost as heat to the environment, and they are using rest of the energy into their digestion, in doing work, in growth and in reproduction. So almost and average 10% of energy from the food eaten is goes to the next level or to another level of the consumer. Therefore, only 10% is the average value of organic matter. Organic matter means a consumer. When this is being eaten by the secondary consumer, this is referred as organic matter. Is referred as organic matter because this organic matter will give nutrition to another consumer level, present at each step and reaches to the next step of consumers. So average value of the energy which is going to another level is only 10% because the loss of the energy is huge. Since so little energy is available for the next level of consumers, food chains generally consist of only 3 or 4 steps. So food chain is not longer than 3 to 4 steps because by the end it is reaching till third step or fourth step, completely energy has been consumed or used at tertiary level or after that level. So all the food levels, so all the food chains are consist of only 3 or 4 steps. So here there can be two questions from this text, that only 10% of the energy is reaching till the next level, or the 10% is the average value of organic matter which is reaching till the next level. So answer will remain same. And for here also, that food chain generally consists of 3 or 4 steps. So this will be the answer, that there is a major loss of energy at each and every level. And why is it so? Because of this reason, that they are using most of the energy. And from the starting, we are taking very less energy, which is converting into chemical energy and food energy. So food chain generally consists of only 3 to 4 steps, but not more than that. There are generally greater number of individuals at lower trophic level and ecosystem. The greater number is of the producer. So when we are drawing a triangle of this food chain or the consumers, the base is bigger. The base is bigger because there is a more portion for the producers. When they are producing enough amount of food, then only it is reaching till the top. And as you can see, the base is widen up where there is more energy. As it is reaching till the top, it is almost, we can see, it is negligible or nullifying. So that's why this is referred as consumers triangle or trophic level triangle, where base is consist of producer, where they are having maximum amount of energy and they are the producers of this triangle. Second important concept of food chain is why we call food chain as a food web. So food chain is long and complex. Each organism is generally eaten by 2 or more other kind of organisms, which in turn are eaten by several other organisms. So here you can see producers are the one. They are the producer of this ecosystem. They are producing a food, but as it goes up, from here you can see that frog is being eaten by 2 or more animals. It is eaten by 2 or more animals, and here also it is eaten by 2 or more animals. We can see here. So that's why it is not a one chain. It is not a one chain. It is a web. It is a web because here this animal is being eaten by 2 or more animal, and if we are representing all the sequences, then it will become a web. It will become a web. So instead of straight line food chain, the relationship can be shown as a series of branching line. Branching line means frog is being eaten by 2 or more other animals. So we are showing like this. So these are the branch of one chain. These are the branch of one chain. So that's why these branches are making a food web and not a chain. Second concept is energy flow in food web is unidirectional. Why? Unidirectional means in one direction. It is in one direction only. It is not coming back. As you can see it here, it is unidirectional. That is goes from down, bottom till top. That producers are producing the food, then secondary consumers are eating that, then secondary consumers are being eaten up by the, then primary consumers are taking that, then primary consumers are being eaten by the secondary consumers, and at the last tertiary consumers. So this flow is unidirectional. It is only in the one direction. The energy captured by autotrophs does not revert back. Revert back means it is not coming down. We cannot see any arrow is coming down from top to bottom. It cannot reverse or it cannot revert back to the solar input, and the energy which is passes to the herbivorous does not come back to autotrophs. Either it is not coming back to producer or it is not going back to solar input. Solar input means whatever solar energy producers have taken, that energy plants cannot give back to solar system or plant cannot give back to sun. They are only using it. Same way consumers are only using this energy. They cannot give back something to plant other than the decomposed material or the nutrition. Otherwise the mode will not be remain same. Mode will not be remain same. This energy is not reverting back in which it is taken. As it moves progressively through the various trophic levels, it is no longer available to previous level. So as it goes up, it cannot come back, and for the previous level it is no longer available. For the previous level it is no longer available. Once the frog is being eaten by the snake, then it won't come back in any of the form. Snake will not be able to give any kind of energy back to this frog level. So this flow is unidirectional and this energy is not reverting back, not to the producer, not to the sun. So this flow is unidirectional. Now, one of the most important concept of ecology is biological magnification. Now, what is biological magnification? Let us understand first from this diagram, then we will go back to text. We are using lots and lots of pesticides to safeguard our crop and vegetation so that we will get good amount of yield, and this vegetation will not be consumed by any kind of insect and diseases. So here these yellow dots are representing the pesticides and chemicals. Even some of the chemicals we are using, the artificial fertilizer, synthetic fertilizer we are using to increase the yield of the crop. So these yellow dots are representing pesticides and chemicals. So this many amount of pesticides and chemicals are there in the plant and in the soil. So from here, where it goes to animal and birds who feeds on them. Then the remaining chemicals and pesticides, they will washed up along with the rainwater. Once the rainwater will fall on the soil and it will go till the reservoir, the chemical and pesticide will go along with that. So here in the lake, this pesticide and chemical will present from the soil. They will reach here from the soil and they will washed up along with the rainwater. Now once this chemical and pesticide are present in animal and bird, it will come to our food also. because we are at the top of the food pyramid. Humans are at the top of the food pyramid. Humans are here at the top of the food pyramid. We are eating all the vegetation. We are eating all the plant produce, and we are eating meat, fish, chicken, all the animals also. So as a source from the animals and birds, it is coming to our food and it is accumulating in our body. From the animals and birds, it is accumulating in our body because we are the last one in this food chain. We are the last one in the food chain. Now, from the water, from the reservoir, whatever water we are drinking, it is also coming to us. So this is the first way, from animals and bird. This food material, it is coming to humans. Then second way, from drinking water, it is coming to our body. Then when we are eating plant produce, it is coming to our body because these chemicals are present everywhere. They are present everywhere and we are the last of this food triangle and of this food chain or food web. So all the chemicals and all the pesticides are accumulating, or what is the meaning of accumulation? They collectively, they are coming there from all the sources. Collectively, they are coming to the level of the human's food stage. So all these chemicals and pesticides are accumulating in human body. Now let us understand the text. We are using several pesticides and other chemicals to protect our crop from disease and pest. So these chemicals are either washed down with the rainwater from the soil to the water bodies. All the reservoir like river, pond, lake, they will go down till reservoir. From the soil, these are get absorbed by the plant and this will be eaten up by the aquatic animal or animal. So now they are present in fish and goat. When we are eating the fish or a meat, they are coming to our body. This is one of the ways in which they enter the food chain. That is how they are entering into food chain. Plants will be eaten up by the goat, or this chemicals will be eaten up by the aquatic animal, and that is how they are entering into the food chain. As these chemicals are not degradable, this is the biggest problem. They are not degradable. Until it reaches till the human body, they are intact in their molecular formula and compound. Whatever pesticide and chemical you have used it here, till the time it is reaches till human body, the molecular formula and the compound remains same. This gets accumulated progressively at each tropic level. Yes, progressively at each tropic level they are accumulated. So their presence or their concentration is getting higher up after each and every year that we are increasing the use of pesticide and chemicals. So the concentration is increasing every year. As human beings occupy the top level in the food chain, the maximum concentration of this chemical get accumulated in our body. And this phenomena, that maximum concentration of this chemical and pesticide are collecting in our body or accumulated in our body, is known as biological magnification. So this, whatever pesticide and chemical we are using to treat our crop to get the better yield, they are, if I'll say roughly, then they are directly coming to our body. And this phenomena is known as biological magnification because they have already entered into our food chain and day by day their concentration is being increased at each and every level. So to not get affected by this concentration is impossible. If we are using them, then definitely it will come to our body. This phenomena is known as biological magnification. Our next important topic is ozone layer and its depletion. First of all, let us understand that what is ozone. A molecule formed by 3 atoms of oxygen is ozone. So ozone is a molecule which has 3 atoms of oxygen. So O3 is an ozone. When oxygen molecule is O2, so it has 2 atoms of oxygen into that. This molecule is quite stable. But ozone, in which there are 3 oxygen like this, it is unstable compared to oxygen molecule. Oxygen is essential for our life, whereas ozone is poisonous gas. Now, why this ozone is important for us? Because it shields the surface of the earth from ultraviolet, that is UV radiation from the sun. So whatever radiations, UV radiations which are harmful for the mankind and entire ecosystem, this UV radiation is getting filtered by this ozone layer, So if we will see that this is a earth and this are the rays of the sun, then in between this ozone gas layer is filtering all the UV rays, and because of this layer, because of this ozone layer, that rays are not coming inside the earth atmosphere, and only those rays are coming down which are essential for the ecosystem survival. So ozone layer is very important for us, and it is important for our survival. Now there is a hole in the ozone layer, so it is known as depletion of ozone layer. Depletion means because of the usage of certain elements, this ozone layer got penetrated and it has developed a hole, because ozone molecules are getting destroyed by that use of the chemical. Now let us understand why and how. Ozone at the higher level of the atmosphere is product of UV radiation acting on oxygen O2 molecule. The higher energy UV radiation split apart some of the molecules, that is oxygen molecule, into free oxygen atom. Now, how the ozone is working? So ozone is O3, which is made up of O2 molecule and oxygen atom. This alone oxygen is known as Nessel oxygen, and that is very reactive. Very reactive. Now, what will happen? This is a formation of ozone. That is how ozone formation is happening in the layer. Now, how this nasal oxygen is available for the reaction? So, when O2 molecule is coming in contact with UV rays, it will give us 2 atoms of oxygen. It will give us 2 atoms of oxygen like this. That is our first reaction. So because of the use of this 1 atom of oxygen, we are getting ozone as a molecule. We are getting ozone as a molecule. Now, what will happen when chemicals like CFCs are entering into the environment? When CFC molecules are entering into the environment, they are getting reacted with this alone oxygen atom, because this oxygen atom is known as Nessel oxygen. So this Nessel oxygen is very reactive, and it will immediately get reacted with this CFC molecule, which is a chemical. So it will give us compound with this CFCs. CFC plus O, they are forming a molecule. In turn, as a result, oxygen will be less for the formation of ozone molecule. That oxygen molecule is lacking for the Nessel oxygen to form ozone molecule. So here we are not getting enough Nessel oxygen because our chemical is reacting with Nessel oxygen. Actually, the reaction, what should happen is this. This should happen, that when oxygen come in contact with UV rays, it will give us 2 oxygen atom. Oxygen atom is reacting with oxygen, it will give us ozone. And this is a continuous process. This is a continuous process by which we are getting a ozone molecule. But when the CFC is entering into the environment, they are using this oxygen atom. And later, this oxygen atom will not be available for the formation of the ozone. And that's why the ozone count is becoming lesser and lesser day by day in our environment. Chlorofluorocarbons are used as refrigerant and in fire extinguisher. Now where we are using this CFCs? Into the refrigerant and in fire extinguisher. So once the UN committee has detected that these chemicals are very dangerous and this use of this chemical has to be stopped. So in 1987, the United Nations Environment Programme, that is UNEP, freezes the production of CFC. Freezes the production means they have stopped the production and they declared it illegal to formulated or to produce CFC because it is dangerous for the mankind and ecosystem. And now it is mandatory for all the manufacturer of the refrigerant and fire extinguisher that they have to produce their product CFC free. CFC free means in their product there is no CFC. In their product there is no CFC, that means CFC free. CFC is chlorofluorocarbon. The full form of CFC is chlorofluorocarbon, and which is dangerous because it is using the nasal oxygen. In turn, the oxygen will not be able to available for the formulation of ozone, and that is why our ozone layer is depleting day by day. Now one of the important aspect to save our ecosystem or to save our nature is we have to minimize our waste and we have to manage our garbage. First, biodegradable material and non-biodegradable material. Whatever waste is generated by us, we can segregate them into two types of material: biodegradable material and non-biodegradable material. So biodegradable material are the substance which are broken down by the biological process are said to be biodegradable. For example, kitchen waste or the peels of fruit or the vegetable. Once you will throw it into the soil, they will get degraded and the nutrition, what all are present into them, they will be again available for the next plant to come into that soil. So this substance are biodegradable and they fit into our ecosystems, carbon cycle and nutrient cycle. But non-biodegradable material like plastic, so they are not degrading themselves and they will not get degraded by any of the virus or bacteria. So they will lie as it is for years together or for the decade. So they are creating lot of pollution and they are creating a big problem for the ecosystem. Non-biodegradable material are inert and simply persist in environment for long period of time, and they may harm various member of ecosystem. So they are becoming dangerous for our ecosystem. So how can we solve this program? How can we solve these problems? Improvements in our lifestyle have resulted in greater amount of waste material generation. So we should minimize our material usage because day by day our material usage is increasing and that is generating lot of waste. Second is changes in attitude also have a role to play with more and more things we use becoming disposable. We are also a part of ecosystem and we are also responsible to make a change and we are also responsible to save ecosystem. So we should use more material which are biodegradable and not the non-biodegradable material. More and more disposable cups, plates, spoons, straws we are using, and we are polluting the environment with more and more non-biodegradable waste. Changes in packaging material have resulted in more of our waste becoming non-biodegradable. More and more material we are using, and we are using more material to pack them, and those materials are plastic and stuff which are non-biodegradable. So these are the 3 points which we should focus on them, and we have to minimize our non-biodegradable waste. In turn, we can do that by changing our lifestyle and changing our attitude that we are also responsible member of this ecosystem. So that was all about chapter 15, our environment. Thank you for watching, and thank you for learning at Learn Yourself. Subscribe to Learn Yourself for many more upcoming videos. You can visit our website, that is www.learnyourself.net. I'll see you in next video. Till then, keep learning, keep sharing.